Welcome to Between Two FARS. I'm Warnicki Miller here with Robert Tepfer. And today Bob and I are going to be talking a little bit about the breadth of discussions that you can have with your offers after the establishment of the competitive range. So once again, we're referring to FAR 15.306. Bob, what can you talk about during discussions?
Well, you start out with what you're obligated to discuss. And if you even have discussions, and you might make an award on initial submissions, but if you establish a competitive range and you have discussions, then you have to discuss significant weaknesses and deficiencies, issues where they're simply unawardable, okay? And you have to alert the contractor to that. Most of the case law says you have to put them on notice.
Okay.
And a lot of times we go so far as to notify them of weaknesses along with significant weaknesses. The main thrust of that is to enhance the proposal, to get a better proposal, and ultimately to get a better contract. Discussions are sometimes synonymous with negotiations. That really relates to the aspect of enhancing the proposal.
Okay, let's pause here. There are things you're required to bring up in discussion. That
Right.
when you're saying significant weaknesses, and is there anything else that's required to be brought up?
Deficiencies.
Deficiencies. How about past performance? Is there
Past
anything you're
performance,
required to bring
adverse
up?
past performance has to be brought up, and they have to be put on notice and have an opportunity to respond. A classic case being that you've alerted us to this negative past performance, but we remedied it, or we took issue, or put it on another statement.
So this might be adverse past performance that they were not previously aware of. That's what we're required to bring up to them, so they have a chance to respond.
I would, even if they weren't, if they were aware of it, you felt that they knew about it, I would still go so far for the record to alert them to it, so there couldn't be an argument that some aspect of it was new to them. That would not be a good thing to have happen, and you might have to start all over.
Oh. And then what about these discretionary areas? What other areas can you
Well,
talk about?
one of the, it's very difficult because you don't want to assist a contractor in writing his proposal saying, why don't you use that metal over here, or use this technique with that metal, or whatever. So probably, that's improper. So one of the better things you can do is turn over the strengths that the contractor has, and significant strengths, and alert them. And what that tells them is, effectively, we like this, maybe you could do more of that.
Or don't mess with this area of your proposal.
Yeah, well, in fact, that's the problem. Yeah, you might put that in there. Sometimes they overreact and they create a problem, but that's a risk you have to take. But yeah, don't mess with this aspect of your proposal is a good thing, because
Now, we would never say that, but by sharing something we've labeled significant strength, I would think that kind of telegraphs that the government liked what was going on.
Yeah,
and
but
you don't need to touch
you'd
it.
be surprised the contractor can misconstrue that and give you too much of it, which could be to their prejudice in their proposal. But for the most part, yeah, I think you're right. If you tell them we like this, which you're permitted to do, in giving them the strengths, it says at a minimum, don't undo this. Which is, and that's kind of one of the safer ways to go, because technically, if you get into the position of telling the contractor what to do, you're writing their proposal. Or technical leveling, taking it, transfusion from another proposal, you can buy into some real headaches. Simply telling them what they did, which was right, is kind of a clean way to do it.
So how do you get them to address what's wrong? Are you saying, we don't understand this area, or we're unsure what you mean by this, or we have a concern about how do you phrase it without telling them what to do?
Are a good way to do it, actually, because what you're alerting them, we don't understand means, you haven't conveyed to us, so you can tell them how this would work, or you have not enough personnel in these skills being proposed to do that.
Would you say you don't have enough personnel to do it, or would you say the government has a concern that you would be able to successfully complete the statement
you
of
would
work
choose your
with
words
this?
carefully. You have to figure out a way to convey to them your concern with the method they propose to obtain the outcome. And you know, because, and quite frankly, that's a good point, because you don't have enough people. Perhaps they'd say, yeah, well, if you saw our technique and the PhDs we have efficiencies that you simply don't understand. So yeah, you know, you don't have a number for them to meet, and you don't have a conclusive statement that they can't do it, but you sure can say you haven't conveyed to us how you can do it with this level of personnel and these skill sets. The inadequacy there clearly would be a basis for a discussion.
Now, unless the contractor, the offerer, has an attorney at the discussions, the NASA lawyers aren't going to be in the room for discussion. So how do you prepare your contracting officer to enter discussions with the competitive range?
Well, you give them the treatment to make them sufficiently paranoid, as we're doing right now. No, that's a very healthy thing to do. You explain to them, and you know, it's right out of the case law, that you are obligated to alert them to things or draw their attention to whether or not you simply don't understand how, with this skill set and this number of personnel, how they can attain whatever. But you don't transfuse, you don't level, and you try to treat everybody consistently. That's very important, that you don't help one contractor more than the other, or alert them to a better method, which they were close to, but they didn't pick up on.
All right, these are important things that the attorney can do to help prepare their clients for the discussions during the competitive range determination. Thank you for your time today. We'll see you again between two FARS.